Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Justice Chronicles. Today's episode, we will address the immigration situation going on here in the New York State. It's actually going on across the United States, but I'm based in the New York City metro area, and today we're going to deal with the issues as it pertains to people in New York State. I would like to direct the attention to Article 690 of New York's Criminal Procedure Law. That's the law that deals with search warrants. Now, people may be asking, why is he talking about search warrants when the ICE agents are supposedly running around with arrest warrants to arrest people and deport them? Well, the reason why I'm bringing up search warrants is because in New York State, if the police, any police, come to a dwelling of a third party looking to arrest someone else that's the subject of an arrest warrant, and the person they're looking for does not live in the dwelling that they're going to, then that's called a third party dwelling. And in New York State, the police need to have a search warrant in order to legally gain access into a third party dwelling. Criminal Procedure Law 690.05, paragraph 1 states, under circumstances prescribed in this article, a local criminal court may, upon application of a police officer, a district attorney, or other public servant acting in the course of his official duties, issue a search warrant. Paragraph 2 goes on to state that a search warrant is a court order and process directing a police officer to conduct a search of designated premises or of a designated vehicle or of a designated purpose for the purpose of seizing designated property or kinds of property, and to deliver any property so obtained to the court which issued the warrant, or B, a search of a designated premises for the purpose of searching for and arresting a person who is a subject of 1, warrant of arrest issued pursuant to this chapter, a superior court warrant of arrest issued pursuant to this chapter, or a bench warrant for a felony issued pursuant to this chapter, where the designated premises is the dwelling of a third party who is not the subject of the arrest warrant. Or, now this is significant, 2, a warrant of arrest issued by any other state or federal court for an offense which would constitute a felony under the laws of this state, where the designated premises is the dwelling of a third party who is not the subject of the arrest warrant. Now, this is important to digest and understand. That means, let's say the police are coming, they have a warrant for my arrest. They're looking for me, they want to arrest me for fill in the blank, whatever crime. They have a valid arrest warrant for my arrest, and they believe that I'm staying at address that is not my legal address. That means that they believe that I'm staying at a third party dwelling, not my address. My name is not on the lease for that dwelling. My name is not on the deed for that dwelling. In order for the police to obtain legal entry into that dwelling, the police need to go to court and convince a neutral judge that there is reasonable grounds to believe that I may be found in that third party dwelling. They can't use a hunch. They can't use a rumor. They need hard evidence in order to convince a judge that it's reasonable to believe that I will be found in that third party dwelling. And if they can convince the judge that there are reasonable grounds to believe that I will be found in that third party dwelling, then the judge will sign off on a search warrant to go along with the arrest warrant, to give the police the authority to go to that third party dwelling and to enter into that dwelling and to search for me, the subject of the arrest warrant. If the police only have an arrest warrant and they don't have a search warrant, they don't have legal authority to go into any dwelling, period. So if you happen to be in a dwelling and you hear banging on the door or an intercom is ringing and the police is saying, open up, it's the police. We have a warrant for such and such as a arrest. You're not legally obligated to open the door if the police do not have a search warrant to go with that. Now, this is only applies to third-party dwellings. If they're coming to look for me at my address, my legal address, and my name is on that lease, or my name is on that deed, and they have an arrest warrant, then that's a different story. But if they're coming to a third party dwelling looking to arrest somebody who's a subject of an arrest warrant and they don't have the search warrant to go along with that arrest warrant, then they don't have any legal grounds to enter into that dwelling. So if the police come knocking and they say they have an arrest warrant for someone who does not live at that address, my advice to you would be simply ignore the police. Don't go to the door. Definitely don't open the door and just ignore the police. The police might be outside threatening, we're going to knock the door down. I know it can be scary. I know it is scary, but I would rather have the police knock the door down and run up in there without a search warrant rather than open the door up and invite them in. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. If ICE agents or some other law enforcement agency acting on behalf and in conjunction with ICE agents shows up at your door demanding that you open the door because they have supposedly an arrest warrant for someone's arrest. I don't care if they hear you in the apartment. We know someone's in there. Yeah, but do they know who's in there? Sure, they can know someone is in there, but is the person they're looking for in there? Do they have that information? If they did have that information, then it shouldn't be any problem for them to go to a fair and impartial and neutral judge, present their evidence to that judge, showing why they believe that the party they're looking for is in that dwelling. If they can't do that, then they don't have legally sufficient evidence to be at that dwelling in the first place. So you would be perfectly within your rights to completely ignore the police knocking on the other side of the door. Please, ladies and gentlemen, keep that in mind. And to take it a step further, if the party or parties who legally live in that dwelling can obtain a copy of the lease if it's an apartment, or the deed to the house if it's a house, showing who's on the lease or who's on the deed, and try to have that in the dwelling and keep it handy in the event that you get a knock on your door by aggressive agents demanding that you open up and let them in because they're searching for someone. If they catch you with the door open and you have the lease or the deed handy, you can show them the lease or the deed and show them conclusively that the party they're looking for does not live at that dwelling, at that residence, and tell them that they'll need a search warrant. If they believe that the party they're looking for is there, they'll need to go to court and convince a judge to sign off on the search warrant. Other than that, if your door is closed and locked, leave your door closed and locked. Continue going on about your business and completely ignore the police. I hear they're out here in New York City picking people up and don't even have a warrant. They're just claiming they have a warrant, but they don't even have a warrant. And they're picking people up. And they're picking people up on the streets. So be careful. If you have to go outside and you have to go out on the street, this section of Criminal Procedure Law 690, Article 690, does not apply to people who are on the street in public. It only applies if you're in a dwelling and the police come to that dwelling looking for someone who's allegedly the subject of an arrest warrant. ICE has agents running around out here, and in some cases, they don't even have arrest warrants. They just know that they're looking for someone. They don't have an arrest warrant. They don't show people arrest warrants, and they're just rampaging over people's rights, constitutional rights. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you all to be very careful and stay safe. Thank you.